There was a time when music meant strings, drums, and voices carried through analog air. Then came a shift. Quiet at first, almost experimental, where sound itself became something that could be engineered, stretched, and entirely reinvented. Electronic dance music, now known globally as EDM, didn't appear overnight as a festival phenomenon. It evolved slowly, shaped by underground movements, new technologies, and communities searching for rhythm in a changing world. Its history is less about a single genre and more about a continuous reinvention of how music is created and experienced. Right here on History of Simple Things. Long before massive festivals, glowing stages, and bass drops that shake entire cities, electronic dance music began as a quiet experiment. Its roots stretch back to the early 20th century, when inventors and musicians first started exploring electronic instruments. Devices like the theremin, which could be played without physical contact, and early synthesizers hinted at a future where sound could be shaped in entirely new ways. These weren't dance floor tools yet, but they planted the idea that music didn't have to come from traditional instruments. By the 1960s and 70s, electronic sound had moved into studios. Artists and producers began experimenting with synthesizers like the Moog, creating textures that felt futuristic and unfamiliar. Bands such as Kraftwerk in Germany took this further, crafting rhythmic, machine-like music that would later become a blueprint for electronic genres. Their sound was minimal, precise, and deeply influential, laying the groundwork for what would eventually evolve into dance music. As the 1970s unfolded, disco emerged as a cultural force, especially in cities like New York. While disco relied heavily on live instrumentation, it introduced something essential: the idea of music built for dancing in clubs. DJs became central figures, blending tracks together seamlessly to keep energy flowing on the dance floor. This concept of continuous rhythm would become a defining feature of EDM. At the same time, producers began incorporating more electronic elements into disco tracks. Drum machines and synthesizers started replacing traditional instruments, subtly shifting the sound. This transition marked a turning point where electronic tools were no longer just experimental, they were becoming practical, even essential in creating dance music. The late 1970s and early 80s saw the birth of house music in Chicago. Emerging from underground clubs, house was driven by repetitive beats, soulful vocals, and the unmistakable pulse of drum machines like the Roland TR-808 and TR-909. It was raw, hypnotic, and designed to keep people moving for hours. DJs and producers like Frankie Knuckles played a key role in shaping this sound, turning club spaces into creative laboratories. Meanwhile, in Detroit, techno was taking form. Influenced by futuristic themes and electronic pioneers, Detroit techno had a colder, more mechanical feel compared to house. Artists like Juan Atkins, Derek May, and Kevin Saunderson crafted tracks that felt both industrial and visionary. Together, house and techno formed the backbone of modern EDM, establishing rhythms and production styles still used today. As house and techno spread beyond the United States, they found new life in Europe. The late 1980s and early 90s saw the explosion of rave culture, particularly in the UK. Massive, often underground gatherings brought together thousands of people in warehouses, fields, and abandoned spaces. The music was louder, faster, and more intense, fueled by genres like acid house, trance, and breakbeat. Rave culture wasn't just about music, it became a social movement. It emphasized freedom, unity, and escape, creating spaces where people could lose themselves in rhythm. The use of synthesizers and drum machines expanded further, producing sounds that felt otherworldly and immersive. This era cemented EDM as something more than music. It became an experience. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, electronic dance music began crossing into mainstream awareness. Artists like The Prodigy, Daft Punk, and Fatboy Slim brought electronic sounds into popular culture, blending them with elements of rock, pop, and hip-hop. Their success showed that electronic music could reach audiences far beyond underground scenes. At the same time, technology made music production more accessible. Software replaced expensive studio equipment, allowing more people to create electronic tracks from their own homes. This democratization of music production led to an explosion of creativity, with new subgenres constantly emerging. The 2010s marked a defining moment for EDM as it transformed into a global industry. Massive festivals like Tomorrowland, Ultra Music Festival, and Electric Daisy Carnival turned electronic music into a spectacle. DJs became international stars, headlining events and drawing crowds of hundreds of thousands. The sound of EDM during this era often focused on big, dramatic builds and drops designed to energize large audiences. Artists like Avicii, Calvin Harris, and Martin Garrix helped bring this style to the forefront, blending emotional melodies with powerful beats. EDM became a dominant force in global pop culture, influencing everything from radio hits to film soundtracks. The history of EDM is a story of constant evolution, shaped by technology, culture, and the people who pushed its boundaries. From experimental electronic instruments to underground clubs and massive festivals, it has continually reinvented itself while staying rooted in rhythm and movement. What began as a niche exploration of sound has grown into a worldwide phenomenon, connecting millions through shared experiences on dance floors both small and vast. Even now, EDM continues to change, reflecting the endless possibilities of music in a digital age. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.